What's up, y'all? You are listening to For the Artist, a podcast brought to you by Creative M Projects. I'm your host, Melissa Sharee. I am here today. I have a very special feature. Now, y'all know I like to call my features amazing, but this feature that we have on today is the most amazing of them all. Okay, she's like the queen amazing guest. Now, let me tell you. Charlotte Char Bland is an executive and community leader. Okay, for several decades, which you couldn't tell that by looking at her face because her face does not look like several decades. I'm just saying. But she specialized in consulting technology infrastructure for Fortune 100 companies. She is the past chair of the City of Pasadena Commission on the Status of Women. Say what? 6 years, y'all, leading efforts to increase awareness for pay equity, homelessness, women veterans, human trafficking, domestic violence, and other quality of life issues for women. She's also the past vice president of the Association of California Commissions of Women, championing an effort to ensure that a women's commission even exists in every single county or city, and that they're fully funded, permanent, and independent government entities that give California women a voice. In her community work, she continues to speak to developing programs that proactively address racism, homophobia, religious prejudice, linguistic bias, anti immigration sentiments, and other divisive attitudes that can lead to intercultural tensions, hate crimes, and related violence. Our guest today, she partners with law enforcement, schools, cities, community-based organizations, youth, academics, policymakers, businesses, and other leaders. Let me tell you, okay, I know that seems like a lot, but she does even more than that. And this is not inflated. You know, some people inflate their bios. This is not inflated at all. And ask me how I know, because our guest today is none other than my own mother. Hey, mom, say what's up to the people.
What's up? I'm so happy to be here today. It's such a special day, and I'm in such a special place. And above all, I am with my favorite daughter, Melissa Sharee. So thank you for having me on your show today.
I'm so glad you're here. Y'all, listen, it cracks me up that my mom says that I'm her favorite daughter, because she says it like there's more than one. I'm her only daughter. I'm like, yeah, of course I'm your favorite daughter because I'm your only daughter. Just like with my brother, he's her favorite son. And it's like, that's your only son. But I have my mom on today. You guys are probably wondering why, okay? Because you're probably like, wait, that didn't sound like your mom is an artist. We're going to get into that in a second. But this is May. This is Mother's Day is coming up. It's like in a few days, okay? So for the whole month of May, we are going to feature women. It's a women only month, y'all, and we are going to shout out and talk about women who function in the role of a mother, either whether they birthed somebody or didn't, and how they contribute into artists' lives and how they themselves are an artist. So, mom, I know you have some artistic skill because I've seen some of them drawings. So
Yes, it's interesting. I do, and it's really interesting that you say that because I was probably about maybe 12 years old, and when I was a kid, we used to get these like comic books, and in the back of the comic books was a picture, and if you drew that picture and you send it in, you could win a contest. But the way that they had it, you could etch out, like, imagine this: you have an 8.5 by 11 picture, and you make lines. You make like 3 lines, and then you make like 4 lines down, and then you like sketch each section of the picture with the picture that you're drawing. Now, I did that I might have even been younger than 12. And I drew this picture. I was very, very, very proud of it. It was all done in pencil. And guess what?
what?
50 something years later, I still have that picture.
I should have told you to show the picture.
Well, I
So,
don't have the picture with
but
me,
did
but
you? But you will.
I will one day.
Okay, listen. Did you keep sketching or drawing, or did you stop? and why?
I just went other directions. My interest in actually crocheting was an art. Just having an eye for just decorating, period, was just intuitive as well. So, the arts has always been a part of me in some sort of way. Just even in my dress. Hey,
Get it, mama. That's right.
art forms show up in so many different ways, and that's the way. I mean, I love color. I love music, of course, is art, and so yeah, that's what I love to do.
Well, it's definitely about expression. And I mean, you have always been a woman of expression that expresses herself in so many different ways. And I love that you don't have any fear about expressing yourself. Where did that no fear of expressing yourself come from?
That's a great question because I really wasn't around people who um, displayed that. They were more conservative and conscientious. And for me, I've always been my own woman. I've always been my own little girl. And so opinions mattered to a point, but my opinion mattered most. And so I would do me. And I think it's important to do you and feel good about that because sometimes, if not, it just gets in the way of really inhabiting how you want to be. And so early on, and I think being an Aquarius women are just out there. We're willing to try anything once. And so no inhibitions. And I believe the sky is the limit. I think I'll try anything once, except for big feet.
Except for what you were like, the wind was coming. You're kind of cutting out.
Oh, I said except for pig feet.
Oh Lord, yeah,
You know
we
what that
know
is?
pig feet.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know you
Yeah.
don't eat pork.
No,
we
I
could,
don't eat pork. So
we could.
I do have some limitations, but for the most part, I'm an open book. Definitely.
So, however you're holding your phone, keep holding it like that because I can hear you more clearly now.
Okay.
Okay. Um. So I have to ask you this. Because it's interesting. There's some parents that will support their children when it comes to the arts, and then there's other parents that will kind of try to get their children to do something else because maybe that should be a hobby. That's just an art. It's not really that important. How were you able to be so open to allowing me and Carlos to just explore different things?
You know, I was I as a child was not able to do a lot of things that I wanted to do only because I wasn't exposed. And then things that I was exposed to, just out of just a cultural thing, was just not encouraged to do those things, right? And so when I had my children, I always tell myself, I'm going to have them try everything once. So, for instance, soccer or baseball or an arts class or whatever it is, it's like if you try it once and you don't like it, well, we'll talk about it. But it doesn't mean you get to get out of it, right, Melissa?
Yes,
I
that's
mean,
right.
I wasn't the kind of mom that said, "Oh, okay, Melissa. Well, you didn't like that, so let's find something else." That was more the mom of, you tried it once. Let's keep it going a little bit till you really don't like it, right? And
Hmm.
then we'll do it because sometimes it takes more than one or two or three tries to really develop that, right? So with Carlos, of course, we know he was the athlete, and he came from athletic genes, and I knew that because his father was, and his uncles were always in the newspaper for their work that they did, and they got trophies, and they were always honored. So I knew he had the gene, and I always wanted to encourage that gene, and so that worked for him. And now there's my Melissa. That's my Carlos, my favorite son. And then there's my favorite daughter, Melissa. So with Melissa, she was, I mean, in fact, here's the thing. I remember whenever they were little, oh my gosh, they must have been 2 and 3 years old or 2 and 4 years old, something like that. Because y'all are 2 years apart, right?
Hmm.
And so what happened was I said, okay, Nordstrom's was where we lived. I lived in Seattle, and Nordstrom corporate was there, and they would have fashion shows. And so there's my little Melissa. She's ready to put on the dress and walk down the runway, right?
Mm-hmm.
But however, there's my son Carlos, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so Carlos, I remember I would have to bribe him with everything under the sun to get him in those clothes and get him down that runway. And I would do that for years until he got to a point where it didn't matter to him. You could bribe him with anything. He wasn't going to go down that runway, right? And so I knew his limitations after working with him. But then there was Melissa, who really liked that. She really liked putting on the cute little clothes, really liked walking down the runway, really just liked being her. You know, she was a little girl that could walk. No, Carlos would go in a room too and meet a lot of people. Melissa would be walking in a room, but she's going to check you out before she really jumps into a conversation. But she always had that art skill. And so, you know, along with that, you know, you really like to do that. But she was in the plays. And so she really liked to do plays. And there was a lot of artsy things. And then we discovered, oh my God, she could act. And so she did the acting thing as well. But then lo and behold, Lord Jesus, she was blessed with this voice that nobody knew she even had. And she had it at a very young age when she began to sing. And we're like, no, she's not singing, she's singing. And so we really, promoted that. And that's how she got into the High School of the Arts, through the voice. And so I think that you really have to look at what really encourages your children, and really helping them through that, right? Not just standing on the sidelining and saying, but finding things for them, because they're children. So you have to do the homework as a parent to open those doors for them and find those different art classes that they might need to be involved in. And guess what? You have to deposit the amount of time into those children to make them successful. I mean, lots of football games, lots of baseball games, lots of basketball games, and you commit to that. You get them there, you sit there, you watch the game. With Melissa, it was lots of auditions. And one thing that I taught my children early on is, when you go for these auditions or you go for things that you want, if you don't get it, it doesn't mean a bad thing. It just means it wasn't for you at that moment. And so you have to deposit that into your children, because they begin to feel less confident. It's like, oh, they didn't pick me. Well, no, they didn't pick you because you weren't the person for that role, but your role is coming. And so get ready for that. Right?
Yeah. Wow. That's a lot. But you know what? Leads me to another question, Mom, because like, at what point how do you know as a parent whether or not your child, it's something seriously that they should actually pursue? Because you made a big decision to actually move, like, geographically from one state to another,
Right.
how do you know that as a parent, whether or not your child has something?
Yeah. For me, that when there's a contract involved, and that means that people are ready to invest in you. And I think that, with some people, they just want to take that chance. But when it gets to a point where others see the value in your children and ready to sign a contract and deposit into them, then it's time to make that move. And as you said, with Melissa, she was doing a TV show in Seattle, really cute Saturday morning TV show, which they went around the city and they did all these little different skits, and they did little projects, little science projects on the show. And then she came to Los Angeles because she had auditioned for CBS, and CBS had what they called Saturday Morning Rocks a long time ago. And they had 3 girls that introduced the cartoons as they came on. So for me, it meant that's where we needed to be. That's where I wanted to see her grow. I wanted to see her opportunities grow. And so, for me as a mom, sacrificing everything. And I remember just as a mom, and Melissa, you may or not know this, but at the time I was working for a major corporation. and they had and I come to Los Angeles and I found a place to live, and I found the office that I'd be working in. Well, in the process of doing that transfer, they cut the budget for me moving. And so they wanted me to wait another 6 months to a year. Well, Melissa was already here in Los Angeles with a friend, and I needed to get to my child. And so what I did is I packed my car up. I left a lot of my things with my sister, and I packed just a few things in my car, and I came to Los Angeles, and I had a place already. I think I had enough money for maybe 1 month's rent and the deposit, and literally was using a cooler for the refrigerator, and this is while I was just trying to build, right? And then back in those days, they used to get the Sunday newspaper, and in the Sunday newspaper was the classified ads, and the classified ads were really want ads for jobs, and there would be maybe 12 or 18 pages of nothing but classified ads for people with jobs. Now, I know I'm dating myself, but this was pre-internet, pre-all that. And I remember I would circle the jobs that I was going to go for an interview with. And I would call them up on Monday morning and they would interview me. And I would literally take that job. Whoever offered that job, I took that job. And then it wasn't a job that I wanted, but it was a job that I did because I knew that I'd take care of 2 kids and some rent for a place to put a roof over her head. And then I didn't necessarily like the job, but I took the job. And then I kept interviewing. I can't tell you how many jobs I went through before I landed the one that I was there for a very long time. And so those are the kinds of things that you have to be willing to do and sacrifice, and just trust yourself, trust your talent to, and just know that that God will order your steps and he will open and make a way. I believe that in life of a domino effect. If you don't hit that first domino, then the next one's not going to fall and the next one's not going to fall. If you stand there afraid to hit that first one, then you're never going to go anywhere. So that's kind of my life principles. I do work off of the domino effect. I'm going to hit the first one and the second one and the third one, the fourth and fifth one are going to fall. And so doors begin to open when you do that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, what would you say to an artist that's like maybe listening and like, well, dang, I don't have a mom like that. Like,
That did not have a mom like that.
Or they don't right now. Like maybe their mom passed away, or maybe their mom is not supportive. Is like, what would you say to an artist that's in that situation? Because a mother figure or
So it depends
maternal
on the
support.
age.
Yeah, go
It
ahead.
depends on the age of the child, right?
Mm-hmm.
If they're very young, and I'm thinking, I would say under 5, it's pretty tough because you can't, that it has to be an older adult that sees the value in that child and develops that. I would think that nowadays 5 and over are so much more mature, and that they're accessing the internet. You have to find someone in your circle that believes in you. And that could be a neighbor, that could be somebody in your church, that could be your friend's friend. I remember with Melissa, we would be at a dinner or be at somebody's house visiting. I say, sing, Melissa, sing.
Oh,
or we'd pick up a friend and put him in my car, and I'd say, sing, Melissa, sing, right? And so the same thing for, you remember that, Melissa?
Yeah, you still try to do that. And I'm like, hello, I'm grown now. Please stop trying to throw me out there talking about sang, Melissa, sang.
And I'm like, you're never too grown. I'm always the mama. So when I ask you to sing, I need you to sing, because you don't know who you're singing for, and that door's going to open. Remember that domino effect. You never know what's behind that door. So if I say sing, you better sing. But the other part of that is that, you do have to have someone that sees your talent and says, girl, you got to sing, or girl, you got to dance, or girl, you got to play that piano, or that or that drum, or whatever it is. You got to have somebody. And you know what? You may not play it to the perfect tune, but the fact that there's some golden in that they're listening to, they know that it needs to be developed. It's very tough for kids who don't have someone who believes in them, but you got to find them. There's an angel out there for everyone. Listen, there's a guy that sits outside of Marshall's in Pasadena. He has the most amazing voice. And I, for the life of me, don't know why he's still on the street singing. but he is, and he's got his case out there, and I invite people to go see him. But that's the thing that it takes, is just believing in yourself and getting out there. And it's very tough if you don't have someone that does believe in you. But you can reach out to, organizations like Creative M Projects, and find leaders in there. And you know what? You have friends. You still at 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, you still have a friend that you play with, that you interact with. Sing to them, and they're going to tell somebody about you singing. So even though you might feel alone, you're really not, because you're not alone on it. You're not alone. There's somebody in your circle that you should let hear your talent. Mm-hmm. Even if it's your little friend, even if they're not even a best friend, just go up to them and just sing something. That's what I would suggest.
Yeah. And that applies for anything, y'all. My mom is talking about singing because clearly she likes that one that I do the best. Well, but it could be anything. It's dancing. Yeah. Drawing.
Dancing,
writing,
playing the horn, drawing. Mm-hmm. Yes, because remember George, remember George from Crenshaw High School?
Yeah, he passed away. He was a visual artist.
And he came, but he was still in high school. And he made me the most beautiful picture. And I tell everybody about that picture, and I have it on my wall at home. I don't know if he thought much about it, but he sat in my house and he just drew this picture that was absolutely beautiful. And I always told him, is that you have a talent, and keep that talent going. But no, the arts is in many forms. It's in, you could write poems, or you could speak words of wisdom. There's talent. Art shows up in so many different ways, so many different ways. And you just got to let somebody know you have it. Right.
Right. Well, you are an artist, Mom. I will say that. Maybe not in the traditional sense of the word, but everything about you is very creative and expressive. And yes, you're definitely an artist. And what I think is cool too is you're creating with the relationships that you're building in terms of community. It's like you're creating environments in community. That is a form to me of artistic expression, the ability to be able to create environments, and you do that. So,
right. I think the ability to create conversations about being effective in a community is critically important, because it has to start somewhere. It has to start with an idea, a creative idea. Every business that out there has to start with a creative idea in order to get started, right?
Right.
It has to have somebody with an idea. And when you think about it, as you say that, Melissa, it doesn't matter what field you're in. It could be business, technology, manufacturing, whatever it is, it all begins with a form of art.
Yeah.
It all becomes with an idea that's put on paper, right? That's a dream. So you're right. It's a great point.
Yeah. So are you still dreaming then, Mom?
I'm always dreaming. I'm always dreaming.
Yes.
Yes. In fact, you know what? I have to laugh at myself, because I'll buy that dress or I'll buy that pair of shoes because I see myself in that dress or in that shoes, speaking to a group of people about something incredibly important. It's really interesting, because when I do buy things, I think like that. I say, oh, I'm going to wear that, or I'm going to do this, and people. And so those things tend to come into fruition over time, because I do dream. I dream big. Yeah.
Wow. Well, that would be where I get it from.
Dream myself to Hawaii here. So I'm here now.
Well, you know what? You should have put me in the dream.
At the beach. Oh my God. 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 Oh my God.
Well,
oh my God.
you deserve that.
And I tell you what, I tell you what, and this truly was a dream, because we were supposed to go when COVID happened. And then when we came out of COVID, there were no possibilities of this door opening for Hawaii, and the door opened. So that's because you got to speak it. You got to speak it. You got to more than speaking it, you got to make sure the right ears hear what you're speaking, right? And it falls on the right spirit. And so that's incredibly important as well. because then people bring that and deposit it, and they're part of your reality of making those dreams come true.
Yes. Y'all got that? That's that. You can play that back later because that was a nugget right there. Dropping nuggets, mom. Wisdom. All right. Well, I'm not going to keep holding you from the beach to have this conversation. I really do appreciate that you took the time, even though you are where you are, but this is pretty consistent with who you are. Always willing to sacrifice, always willing, to do whatever needs to be done to support what I've got going on. So I really appreciate that, Mom. I love you so much. Of course, I just want to let the tears come, happy tears, but I've been holding them in.
Oh,
I'll,
make me cry.
I'll let them drop later. But yeah, so this was a great start to, having other women on for this month of May. Mothers are so important. And, yeah. Do you have anything else that you want to say before we get off?
I just want to say I'm so proud of you, and that I really think that Creative M Projects is really affecting a lot of wonderful things for the youth, because they needed a pathway to their dreams, and they can do that through Creative M Projects. And so continue to do your great works. And I've always said, what, Melissa is a child of the King, and I always said that's God's child, because I believe He's using you. So keep doing that. Keep on that path, and don't ever give that up, and don't ever change who you are, because you are who you are. And I'm incredibly proud of you. And to all of you that are listening, whatever that art form is that you have, just continue to keep that in your life. And what is something as small as baking a cake that's your favorite cake that nobody else knows that secret ingredient. Mm-hmm. That's an art. Mm-hmm. And so looking forward to joining you again. And yes, I'm available anytime.
Yes, we will have you on again. All right, y'all. You have been listening to For the Artists, a podcast brought to you by Creative M Projects. We had a very special guest on today, Charlotte CHAR Bland, also known as my mother, the one and only fabulous Shaw. And yeah, we are a 501c3 organization. So if you would like to make a donation to Creative M Projects, go to the website, www.creativemprojects.org. And until next week, because we'll be back next Thursday, keep creating from the inside out.
Grandma kiss. Mwah.